Hey, welcome to Everything All the Time. I'm Pat O'Brien. Court McCowan is here. Would you like to say your own name?
Nope.
Okay.
I like it that way.
I'm Pat O'Brien along with Court, and we're here on a Tuesday. Glad you're with us. Hold on. I don't know why I go on the air with a mint in my mouth.
Well, thank you.
That's kind of rude. We're buying the Stairway to Heaven today, and by God, we can afford it.
Yes, we
We're
can.
buying it with our souls and our hearts and our good and bad deeds. And we're going to talk about Stairway to Heaven and Led Zeppelin today and the Beatles. And Denny Somack, who is, as you know, the archivist for classic rock, and is probably the number one guy who keeps track of the Beatles. And he just wrote this book called Get the Lead Out, How Led Zeppelin Became the Biggest Band in the World. Stairway to Heaven was written in 1971, and the first time I heard it, I might have been on acid.
Maybe?
No, I was on acid.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
And so, but I've heard it many times since, sober. And I love the song, I love the band, and I love Denny Somack.
I can't be excited to talk about this. First concert I ever went to see in 1977, my brother's.
Were you stoned?
I might have smoked a little something there. I was a young man, and but we got to see Led Zeppelin.
Well, that's
it was
an excuse.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And just the other night I was sitting, had some free time on Saturday or Sunday night, and on Access TV, which has some great programming, by the way. Access TV does. They had the Led Zeppelin concert at the O2 Arena.
Oh yes,
where John Bonham's son Jason played drums, and it was John Paul and Robert Plant. And it was just Jimmy Page. I mean, what a phenomenal
By the way,
show!
Jason Bonham is a great. John Bonham is probably the second best drummer ever, after Ringo. But Jason Bonham is good. Did you see the Heart version of that?
I did. I saw that at Kennedy Center.
And when I first saw it, I thought they're not going to pull this off.
They pull it off.
They pulled it off. I sat back. I was home alone again. And I sat back. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it was so great. Now, let's get a couple things out of the way. So Denny Somack's going to join us. And if you like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles and that, he's great. He knows all about them. We don't, but we think we do, and that's kind of what our show's about.
Yeah.
Now, you have had...
I had...
Poor Court. Court needs a hug. Hold on. Court's had a hell of a week. Without defaming too many people.
Delta Airlines can
There's one.
bite my ass. Delta Airlines
What's wrong with you?
But I mean, it's one of these things where I went to a wedding. I went to one of the most beautiful weddings in the world. Boyd and Kaylin Jackson, Jim Irsay's daughter Kaylin got married.
Right,
one of the greatest, most beautiful weddings. Jackson Hall, one of the most beautiful places I've ever.
The pictures you sent me were unbelievable.
Yeah, go to my Twitter or my Facebook or Instagram and check them out. It's just heaven. It's the blue sky. I mean,
that's what I wrote you back. This is heaven.
This is heaven.
You'll never see it.
Well, it's just the most amazing place, but it's such a difficult place to get to. It's not easy. You fly into Salt Lake City, then there's little flights that go in and out. Similar to, I'm sure, people when they go to
It's like going to Nantucket, where I go.
Nantucket or I mean, anywhere, these smaller towns. And I know a lot of people are traveling this year, and it's, summertime, they're taking the kids. And this was the thing where we were flying out of LAX to Salt Lake City. We're sitting in the airport in LAX, and they change gates, which you already know
Big deal.
is going to be a disaster.
When they go roll with this stuff.
So I was rolling with it. So then we change gates. We go over to the next gate. Then that plane sits there for 30 minutes, and I'm just sitting there going, "We're screwed. We're screwed. We're screwed."
You know what you can do for 30 minutes? You can text me. You can call me.
I did. I sat and played Angry Birds. Had a good time. I wasn't upset about that part.
All right, there we go. So far, so good.
Then they move it back to the original gate because that plane couldn't move. Now at this point, I have an hour to make my connection. We're pushing it now, and then they take
to make your connection in Salt
Lake City to go to Jackson Hole, and as I'm sitting, and I even went on the phone and I called the airline.
Right.
And they said they'd call me back, and they called me back once I got to Salt Lake City, which was 3 hours later. But I landed Salt Lake City. We come off the plane. They've held the plane to St. Louis. They've held all these other flights because there's so many people on there. We had at least 25 people on our flight going to Jackson Hole. They didn't hold that flight, but I did get a notice earlier that if I was willing to give up my seat going because they'd oversold the flight.
should've.
Yeah, which I obviously did.
A couple $100 free.
Yeah, it cost me almost $900 to fly to Jackson Hole. But anyway, we land in Salt Lake City and come off the plane, and they tell me, they go, listen, this is Thursday night. They said, well, listen, not a problem. We've got you booked on the next flight to Jackson Hole. And I said, oh, what time tomorrow morning? They said, well, no, Saturday morning.
And it's Thursday.
It's Thursday night. And they said, Saturday morning, we've got a flight for you. And then I said, well, what am I supposed to do, stay in a hotel? And they go, well, that's another problem we have. There's a convention here in Salt Lake City. We don't have hotel rooms. So you need to, I said, do you want me to?
me, man. I get you in.
Yeah, you want me to stay at the airport? I go, is this a Tom Hanks movie? You know, you want me to stay at the airport for 2 nights? And here's a $15 meal voucher for the next 2 days? And there were 2 other guys standing there from Jackson Hole, and we looked at each other, and we're just like, F this, let's get a rental car. And they go, well, we can't pay for a rental car. It's liability. And I was just thinking, the only liability you have right now is that I don't tear your head off and just shit down your neck at this point. I was so angry. But anyway, 3 of us end up getting a rental car. It took us almost 4 hours in pitch black to drive. Thank God they knew where they were going.
Right.
Because, I mean, getting
It's
up.
black out there.
It's black, pitch black. There's no.
I spent a month there in the Olympics.
Well, you know, the fun thing about it, though, is I got to meet these 2 great guys from Jackson Hole that were really cool. And as we're driving through this little area, thank God they were driving, because there's elk, there's moose, there's cattle, everything. You come around the corner, the guy's slowing down, he goes, oh, this is a busy area. And I go, what are you talking about? We come around the corner, there's a family of elk crossing the road, and I was like, oh my God.
Did you book them?
Yeah, I would have killed it. I would have killed it.
Well, now let's not just blame Delta. This
No, it's
happens
Delta.
A lot. All right.
It's Delta.
Okay.
It's everybody at that wedding. I would say that there were 150 people at that wedding. 40 people had a problem with Delta getting there.
But you should be able to get past this.
I'm getting past it, but here's the thing.
Get a book. Get a
Here's
magazine.
the thing. They
Use
don't.
the time.
They didn't remedy the situation correctly. First of all, they could have held the flight 20
First
minutes.
of all, how long have you been traveling? Forever, right?
Forever.
Okay. So you know, see, me too. I've traveled more than
Yes.
anybody.
Yeah.
You have to realize these things happen.
They do happen.
I don't like them either, but
but the situation is you calm down. I said, and I go, well, listen, the airline was one of this. I go,
you weren't calmed down when you told me about it this morning.
Yeah, no. I said, I'll talk to you about it. I'll talk to you about it on Sunday. I go, I've got to go to this wedding. Let me get this thing taken care of, and then I'll talk to you on Sunday when I've calmed down. I called them on Sunday, and they go, well, you're the next person in line,
Right.
and we'll call you right back. 2 hours and 45 minutes later, they called me back. Then they put me on hold for 15 minutes. And then when I got on hold, they told me they would refund me $96 of a flight that was $900.
Well,
Delta.
here's my. All right, slow down. Here's my solution. There's a newly translated Crime and Punishment out, which reads like a real book.
Okay.
And you could have bought that, read that. You could have made some friends in the airport.
I did. I made 2 great friends. But here's the thing. I still don't care. Delta sucks.
Okay, well, call Court McCowan.
Yeah.
He's at Court McCowan. What's your email?
1-800-221-1212.
What's your
That's Delta's
email?
number. I've memorized it at this point. My email. You can
But
you can
this
send me.
happens to all the airlines sometimes.
It does, and I've
I
thought
like Delta. By the way, I own Delta.
I would have. Well, there lies the problem. No, I understand that, and if
You gotta roll with it. But I do understand the problem. It's so frustrating, and airlines, no matter who they are, can be so inhumane when they deal.
Well,
And don't forget I'm being the other side now.
Yeah.
Don't forget, this is their job, and they probably got more than one person screaming at them.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So give them some sympathy.
None.
Where's your heart?
None. It's gone. My heart was left in Salt Lake City. It's just one of those things where there's so many better ways to handle it, and their customer service was so inept at handling the situation. And when I called, they said, "Well, we can't talk right now. We have weather in Atlanta," and I just was like, "Oh God, this."
All right.
This
So you got to the wedding.
I got to the wedding,
Okay.
and God bless you guys, Kaylin and Boyd. What a great wedding, and Jim, thanks again for everything. It was a great.
God forbid you ruined Court's afternoon.
Yeah.
And here's the way you got to look at these things. You got to drive through beautiful Utah
At night,
So
at
what?
1 in the morning. Didn't get to see anything.
Got to meet 2 new guys.
Yeah, well,
you could have married one of them. If you went to Texas, you can get married there.
I
now.
don't think you can in Wyoming. Something tells
Did
me.
you check?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
Something tells me.
All right, we come back. So you okay now?
I'm okay now.
Good news is you're back. You're
I'm back.
good.
Everything's great. It was a great wedding.
And a great wedding, and but I sympathize with you because I've been through that. But I'm over that. I just get a book and I just wait for it to be
I'm just
solved.
going to cancel your next connection to what I'm going to do.
I don't care. I'll get my own plane. Denny Somack is our guest today. We're going to talk a little Led Zeppelin, Beatles, anything classic rock. He's excited about it
I am.
because, and so am I. So we're going to climb that stairway to heaven when we come back.